Two of the largest banking CEOs are now revealing that Bitcoin is taking over this $300 trillion market. One of them is saying the quiet parts out loud, and the other, it's a time of watch what they do and not what they say. Of course, we are talking about the two giants, JP Morgan and Wells Fargo. We've seen this chart previously where JP Morgan Chase is now rapidly increasing their holdings of MicroStrategy at a parabolic rate. But on top of that, the Wells Fargo CEO said that Strategy is the pioneer using equity markets to fund a Bitcoin treasury, and that Bitcoin taking over this $300 trillion global bond market with STRK and STRF is something that might be the most underappreciated story of all of 2025. And we're going to dive into more about why this is showing cracks of the bond market and what Jamie Dimon is actually saying. The quiet parts out loud here, where he is now talking about how the bond market is actually failing. So straight from the horse's mouth, let's listen to what Jamie Dimon is saying here about the bond market.
Are going to see a crack in the bond market, okay? It is going to happen. And I tell this to my regulators, some of who are in this room, I'm telling you it's going to happen, and you're going to panic. I'm not going to panic. We'll be fine. We'll probably make more money, and then some of my friends will tell me that we like crises because it's good for J.
Well, that, like he said, they're going to be okay. Well, why is Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan going to be okay? Well, it seems like this little chart here showing how much JP Morgan Chase is now getting into MSTR. I mean, look at the amount of ownership that they're having in shares just rapidly increase. It's parabolic. It's something that you never really see before. But Jamie Dimon has always been a Bitcoin bear, and he's always been extremely negative when it comes to Bitcoin and everything you see here. But it's unique that he's saying essentially the bond market is dead. The bond market is toast, and that we need to be looking at alternatives. Well, part of what he said in this great interview is that we need to watch out for the overall defense spending and all of that. But he even took a shot at Bitcoin here. I couldn't resist, but I had to throw in this here.
Do we need to rethink what constitutes national security?
I wouldn't rethink it. We know what constitutes national security. We need, I was saying we shouldn't be stockpiling Bitcoin. We should be stockpiling guns, bullets, tanks, planes, drones, rare earths. We know.
So he's saying even here, we should be stockpiling everything under the sun but Bitcoin. And he's actually saying, hey, you are going to panic. He's warning the regulators about what will happen when the bond market cracks. Now, we might get into the little bit of the weeds here, but just from a high level, the bond market, if you look at the 10-year treasury yield, is just under 4.5%. And the 30-year-old is just under 5%, which is nearly at these all-time highs. Now, why is Jamie Dimon pointing this out and essentially saying, hey, you need to watch out for the bond market here because there's a lot of issues? Well, Wells Fargo CEO said that, hey, Bitcoin is starting to take over this $300 trillion global bond market. They expect more Bitcoin Treasury Corps to emerge as long as public markets continue assigning a premium to their Bitcoin holdings. So essentially, these guys are saying, hey, the market does not know how to value these Bitcoin corporations, these Bitcoin Treasury companies. They don't know how to do it at all. So if they don't know how to do it and these guys are getting an extreme premium, why, oh, why would anybody stop buying and using them, right? So Jamie Dimon saying, well, we're going to panic. The bond market is on edge, but less so as treasury auctions and key banking reform are coming through. They're saying that, hey, we're going to be panicking here very soon. But it's a thing of watch what they do, not what they say, because JP Morgan, this article was actually updated today, adopts Bitcoin amid Jamie Dimon's resistance. So Jamie Dimon and the bank's decision to mirror broader institutional trend as legacy firms race to satisfy the increasing appetite for crypto affluent investors. It's a significant shift. JP Morgan has openly opened the door for its wealth management clients to invest in Bitcoin, even though, like we said, Jamie over here has said for years that Bitcoin is a fraud. Jamie Dimon has even said Bitcoin is the worst thing. It's used for drug smuggling and sex trafficking. It is the worst possible thing on planet Earth, according to Jamie Dimon. But hey, if his wealthy clients want it, he's going to give it to them. But the reality is what we're seeing here and what the Kraken CFO has seen and said, that there's more than 10,000 publicly traded companies that could own Bitcoin in the next few years. And where are we today? We're at 216 total exchange custodians, DeFi, whatever, but 117 publicly traded companies as it stands today. So 117 to 10,000 means we're going to see over 100x here pretty soon, allegedly, from the Kraken CFO. And what have we already seen? Well, we've seen, the likes of GameStop now come in and announce a purchase of 4,710 Bitcoin, valued at over 515 million. And this is more than double what MicroStrategy did here at the first buy go around. So I know everybody's ripping on Ryan Cohen saying he needs to buy more, but it is a good amount comparatively when you look at it compared to the first buy that MSTR had. So it's interesting that when you put it in perspective like that, how much Ryan Cohen is doing. Well, on the flip side of things, today, we had the Tether Group announce that they're investing more into 21 to buy Bitcoin. They're just sending Bitcoin over into this, right? They're sending Bitcoin over into, they're sending Bitcoin over into, 21. Then we also have Trump's media company, which has been close to a Bitcoin treasury deal. So we've got another one now, another big giant player looking at buying Bitcoin in the realms of the billions. So it looks like TruthFi and Truth Social, there potentially could be a new Bitcoin holding company as well. And then, of course, we've got Nakamoto, where they've had Kindly MD, where their initial purchase of 21 Bitcoin as part of its treasury strategy. Well, Kindly MD also partnered with Nakamoto. We all know David Bailey and Nakamoto. It merged with Kindly MD to build its Bitcoin treasury. So all of these signs are really just pointing at one thing that we're seeing here, right? Is that it's watch what they do, not what they say. Jamie Dimon, CEO of the largest bank in the world, is saying, hey, our clients can now buy Bitcoin. We think that this is a viable way to go. Well, why? Why would they do that? Uncle Jamie, Uncle Larry, why are all these guys now all of a sudden interested in Bitcoin? Well, it's because their clients are interested in Bitcoin. If their clients weren't interested in Bitcoin, they wouldn't be offering these products or services to anybody. But it seems like there's client demand here. So if there's client demand, you got to give the client what the client wants, right? So what are they doing? They're allowing their clients to now buy Bitcoin. Its clients can now bank and now buy Bitcoin, but JP Morgan will not be custodying for them. But in reality, it all circles back to right here. Strategy, the pioneer with these $300 trillion global market with STRK and STRF. The $300 trillion global bond market is getting absolutely crushed. Well, MSTR and Jamie Dimon, they're doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on their MSTR, which is essentially getting into the bond market, right? So they're seeing this and saying, hey, look out. We see the bond market want to crash. What is our flight to safety? Well, MSTR is our flight to safety. Whether they do it through STRK, STRF, either way you shape it, MSTR is now looking at Bitcoin as a flight to safety when there comes to the risks of the bond market. And they're seeing this. the 104,000 Bitcoin, and they're not afraid. 104,000. They're seeing that. They're seeing the MSTR share price absolutely skyrocket. I mean, look at this thing. If you look at it over year, it's up 128% in the past year. And what is MSTR? It's essentially a Bitcoin holding company. Look, I don't propose anybody should be doing all of this and holding MSTR or doing anything like that. Look, if you've been doing it, it's been paying off well for you. There's some places you don't have access to Bitcoin. I think the true power of Bitcoin is holding Bitcoin in self-custody. So to do that, that's why I partnered with my friends over at The Bitcoin Way. They are the best place to buy Bitcoin if you're in the United States or Canada. Look, if you want to use a VPN, I'm not going to stop you from doing that. But either way, you can buy Bitcoin. Every time you buy Bitcoin, you get Wishing Well tokens. You can get 500 every single time you sign up with just bitcoinwell.com/green-candle. Look, they're not going to let you sign up a million times. So just sign up once, and then on your first transaction, you get 500. So you get 2 to the Wishing Well. Then set up that recurring buy, folks. Set it on up. Get your Lightning wallets ready because we're about to give you some free sats. Make sure you smoke that like Cheech and Chong. Hit the subscribe button so you guys know with the bell notifications, you know when I'm going live because I just gave you 582 sats straight to the dome piece. Straight there. And if you guys missed it, somebody else scooped up these sats for you. Go to bitcoinwell.com/green-candle. Sign up today in there. And if you got 50K smackers or more, scroll on down there, book a call with them. They've got the best white glove service on top of that. If you're looking for some way, some hardware wallet, I've got the solution for you. Bitbox.swiss/green-candle. I've got mine literally sitting right here next to me. You could go down here, scroll on down, buy their Bitcoin only, which I think you guys should do. Bitcoin only edition. Then you can scroll on down, get yourself a steel wallet, punch that in there, and go from there. And why am I saying doing that? Well, Wells Fargo is saying they believe that the effort to tap into a 300 trillion global bond market might be the most underappreciated. They think that more of these Bitcoin spot ETFs has accelerated institutional exposure. ETFs have attracted $136 billion in assets from the jump. 11 billion in year-to-date inflows of BlackRock's iBet ETFs, which is 4th among all ETFs. That's not just 4th among Bitcoin ETFs. That's 4th among all ETFs. So let's check into the sat. Oh, we've got Rock back in the chat. Good to see you. Daniel is saying, hit your likes, peoples. Love Bitcoin roller coaster ride is financial freedom. Amen. Appreciate you guys coming in. We got Dingo Booty sending for BTC saying is away. McLovin saying we didn't wait for their blessing to stack, did we? Amen. We did not. So keep stacking. Smoke the like Cheech and Chong. Oh, they're saying rather watch what Dimon does, not what he says so much. Exactly. That's what I think you guys should be doing and taking away from all this is watching what these guys are doing, not what they're saying, because they're telling you the obvious, right? They're telling you that, hey, it's a good idea to get into Bitcoin. Why? Well, their clients are asking for it. They're saying all of these crazy things like the bond market is going to crash and everything is going to crash and burn. But then on the surface, they are doing things where, hey, they're going to say it's fine. And Jamie Dimon saying even, hey, it's going to happen, that their bond markets are going to explode here. Jamie Dimon warned of a crack in the bond market and should be stockpiling other assets here. And he asked if the so-called bond vigilantes that sell U.S. Treasuries due to worry of growing deficits have returned. He said, yeah, the bank executive pointed out that the trillions of dollars in borrowing and spending in the wake of COVID-19, which can describe of huge sums of money, and we really don't know the full effect of that. You're going to see a crack in the bond market. It's going to happen. I tell this to many of my regulars. Some of you are in this room. I'm going to tell you it's going to happen. You're going to panic. I'm not going to panic. We like crisis because it's good for JP Morgan Chase. So he is saying the quiet parts out loud here, folks. He is straight up telling you guys, I think that the bond market is going to crack. He's straight up showing you guys if the bond market cracks, which I think it's going to do. I'm going to be loading up on MSTR shares, which is essentially a Bitcoin holding company. And what is MSTR doing? I mean, if you look at what Michael Saylor is literally tweeting out on a daily freaking basis at this point, they're buying more and more Bitcoin, and they're going to continue to do that. They even announced more Stride, a new perpetual preferred stock offering available to institutional investors and select non-institutional investors. So MSTR is accelerating this infinite money glitch, as Michael Saylor has coined it, and they're continuing to keep buying more and more Bitcoin. Outside of Stride, they bought more Bitcoin. They announced that today. So Strategy just keeps buying more and more Bitcoin. And I mean, they're not even able to buy 1,000 at this time because of how expensive it is. They bought it for 75 million at 106, and they're continuing to buy. They're not buying the so-called dip. They're buying it on the way down and on the way up. They're buying it in every way, shape, or form. So it's interesting that we continue to see this. And I, for one, believe that we're going to continue. And we're going to see more Nakamoto's pop up. We're going to see more GameStops pop up. And I think Wells Fargo is starting to see the writing on the wall, just as everybody else is. So make sure you guys smoke that like Cheech and Chong. Hit the subscribe button with the bell notification so you guys know when I'm going live. I'm going to keep this one a little short and sweet. So thank you guys all for joining. And check out my latest video where I'm going into MicroStrategy on how much MSTR would be if Bitcoin hits $1 million. So go ahead and check that out if you guys haven't already. And I'll catch you guys all at the next one.